Henshin!
Standing by. Complete.
Greetings, heroes of the internet. I'm Travis.
And I'm Nathan.
And we are the Henshin Men, a podcast that celebrates Japanese superheroes and their high-flying and high-kicking adventures.
In this installment, we will be discussing Kamen Rider episodes 11 and 12. The blood-sucking monster Gebacondor, Kyuketsu Kaijin Gebacondoru. Since all of their previous monsters have been defeated by Kamen Rider, Shocker tries to combine all of their strongest traits in a single monster who will be their ultimate assassin.
I don't know how to get into
Travis.
it. Hi! We're back.
How are you today?
I am confused, Nathan,
About what?
because this monster in this episode is called a condor, but
A Gebacondor.
a Gebacondor, but he doesn't look like a condor.
He looks a little bit more like, I don't know, a goblin? Maybe a Lord of the Rings orc?
Yeah,
That
kind of
has-
orcish.
That has weird, like a weird gliding suit. You know, like those gliding suits that people, daredevils will use. That it's like a
Mhm.
flying squirrel sort of a thing. You know, and they jump cliffs and they'll glide for a really long time. It's kind of like that, except really poorly designed. This costume does not look like it can fly at all.
It's such a weird
I'll be
costume.
honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you, Travis. This episode, for as much hype as the beginning of it has, I ended up being a little bit disappointed with, because it's just, Gebacondor is weird, and maybe it's just in certain shots, but I felt like the Kamen Rider costume looked a little worse for wear this episode, and it probably needed some repair, and you know, and the fight scene was weird, and it's just what. But you know, I'll give credit to this. The beginning of it is actually pretty effective. In case you didn't know that Shocker is evil, a Gebacondor was brought to life using the blood of young women. So we went from puppies to girls, the fiends.
Bring me the blood of virgins.
Oh, what?
I mean, that's essentially what they're doing. It's what it seems like.
What they're doing. And then what does Shocker do? Their newest front is a church. And by the way, I just want to point this out. For some odd reason, there are a lot of Christian churches in Toku shows. I don't know why that is, but I've been watching a lot of 70s Ultraman lately, and churches show up a lot in those too. So they decide that apparently the best way that they can get the blood of young women is to just have a front at a church and then get these young brides when they decide to get married, and then they just show up and kill the groom, kidnap the woman, drain her of her blood, and feed it to Gebacondor.
Yeah.
The beginning of this episode is like a Universal horror movie with.
It actually even goes further than that. I would say it touches into Hammer horror. Like, it really does.
Oh, yeah, Hammer. But I was thinking more with the organ music and stuff. That makes me think of the Universal horror movie.
Well, yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, the organ playing old lady.
Yeah, I had a name for her. Let me keep talking. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Now, my note on her was creepy old lady is creepy. She wears black. Like, okay, that should signal something to you. You're at a wedding and she's wearing black with a black veil, like she's at a funeral. That should tell you something.
Yeah, I said playing the organ to signal the Shocker Goons is a bit like a Universal horror movies, and I specifically put Phantom of the Opera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a funny note about the creepy old lady. I'm trying to. Oh no, I remember. Oh, I called her the Shocker Nun.
Oh, the Shocker Nun.
The Shocker Nun. And I wrote, "What's with Toku villains and pointy-toed shoes?" I see that a lot. There's there Ultraman that do that too, and I'm just like, "What is pointy shoes?" Just look kind of silly to me, but
yeah. This is just a weird episode.
Yes, it is. Although, also one of the brides in this, her name is Yoko, and I put and they try to kidnap her, like, Yoko. Oh no!
No, that deserves the other sound effect.
So, since we were talking about Gebacondor, when they first unveil him, they're like, "Yes, rise, Gebacondor." The first thing that went through my head is, this reminds me of Jim Carrey's Riddler at the end of Batman Forever when he's dressed up like Batman.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm Batman.
It is yeah, it's insane. I wrote a note saying that Gebacondor sounds like an angry gonzo.
He has to be the most mindless kaijin that we've had, that Shocker's made so far. But he's supposed
he suddenly
to be
starts talking at the end.
Yeah, he does, which is just weird. So I'm like, wait a minute. You have all the strengths, apparently, of every kaijin before this, except you can't talk, but then you can talk. Huh?
Yeah.
Also, Shocker impersonating the clergy takes brood of vipers to a whole new height. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this so the story of this is, Shocker is tired of being defeated by Kamen Rider, so they combine all of their previous monsters into one monster, which is, like we said, Gebacondor, this weird guy in a flying squirrel suit, which is funny because there is literally a squirrel monster coming up in a future episode.
Oh, does it happen to be a woman?
No. It is a
squirrel girl. Or squirrel girl.
Right, no. It is a squirrel man.
Condor is, to use another Marvel analogy, Gebacondor is apparently Super Skrull, but...
except that he doesn't use any of the powers. That's what gets me. He doesn't necessarily use any powers from any of the previous ones. He's just supposed to, I guess, have their strength. It would have been cool if he had some of the powers, like the dissolving power that which one was it that had that Scorpion Man, or any of those, the flame breath that Cobra Man had.
Yeah, or the spaghettification power.
Yeah, any of those would have been good, but we didn't get any of that. He was just another monster. He wasn't any different. But yeah, he does get kind of the upper hand against Kamen Rider at first. Even causes Kamen Rider.
He even survives a Rider kick. Like, Kamen Rider doesn't. It's just like he just shows up and he's like, Rider kick first thing, and the Fiend takes it. So I guess that's one indication that he's got all the good stuff from the previous kaijin. Yeah.
So what'd you think of Kamen Rider getting thrown into a big pile of dirt?
I saw that in your notes. You called it Rider faceplant.
Rider faceplant.
I'm just like, really? What the heck, KR?
Yeah.
You just got defeated by face planting into a dirt mound? What? How did they not murder you 3 ways from Sunday at that point? I just
Now we have to talk about the elephant in the room. So this is the first episode where Hiroshi Fujioka, the actor who played Takeshi Hongo, did not actually appear in the episode, was not on set for filming, and that's because he had a motorcycle stunt accident, which actually fractured his leg.
I was going to ask, I knew we were coming up to that point soon in the show where the original actor was going to have to leave, and I was wondering when that was going to happen.
Yeah. So at this point in this episode and in the next episode, we get some reused footage of Takeshi from previous episodes, and they did a replacement voice actor for Kamen Rider, and then they had him be mostly in the suit for this episode, so they could put a stunt guy in there and not have to worry about the actor not being on set. So that's how they worked around it in this episode. Now you can kind of tell, but it's actually pretty good they do a pretty good job of hiding the fact that Takeshi's not there, or at least the actor who plays Takeshi's not there. There is some little
I was going to say I started to notice it more in the episodes that come after this, probably because they were able to write this episode around that issue by having the supporting cast take a little bit more of the forefront in this. So you got more undercover Tachibana with a fake stash.
Yes, that is the best. Tachibana in a costume is always the best.
And what was it, Ruiko? She was doing some stuff too. And then they were a fake couple infiltrating the church.
Yeah, they almost got married.
You old enough to be her dad? I guess this isn't quite weird, but
yeah. Weird. Yeah, it was a little creepy, a little weird, but it was fake. I
mean, half your age plus 7, man. Just
yeah. So yeah, but that is one of the things I do like about this. Like the one of the fact, and it came out of necessity. It wasn't intentional, but it just came out of necessity because of Hiroshi Fujioka's fractured leg, that they had to rely more on the side characters in this one. And this is also an interesting episode because it introduces a side character called Kazuya Taki. So what did you think of this new character being introduced here? He started out as kind of the victim of Gebacondor's attack, but then kind of inserts himself into kind of the whole investigation, the Kamen Rider's battle against Shocker.
Yeah, he's the guy who he's the one of the young guys who tries to get married and then gets accosted. Right, and then he starts taking out Shocker goons like he knows what he's doing. Like, the power of the newlywed.
Yeah. Okay. So I
just got married.
His wife getting kidnapped was probably the best scene. It's in the rewards, awards section, but I do want to talk about it because I called it suddenly Gebacondor, because it's just like, they're riding along. He's driving the motorcycle. You got the sidecar, wife is in the sidecar. She's happy in her wedding dress. The veil's blowing behind her, and it cuts back to him, and he's smiling. And then he looks down, and then there's Gebacondor in the sidecar. And it's just like, what?
Apparently one of his powers is teleportation, but
it's so weird. It was just such a weird slapstick kind of moment, and I liked it. I liked it for that, but it was just such a silly moment.
We were talking about this earlier about how Gebacondor, however you say it, didn't talk and then he talked. You really needed a catchphrase. And you know what his catchphrase should be? Carrion, my wayward son.
Oh God. Oh man. Oh,
I
that's
killed Travis.
yes,
You heard
yes.
it here, heroes. I killed Travis.
I am dead. I am dead now. Here lies me. Born then, dead now. It was, yeah.
You're singing the song like that in your head, aren't you?
Yeah. I am. Carry on my wayward soul. Oh God.
You don't want that to be the episode title.
Maybe, yeah, that might actually be a better title than what I had come up with. Oh man.
Although, I'm just saying, it may not get changed, heroes, but in our notes currently, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's definitely not a condor because Condor Man, we don't know how he can fly.
He is definitely
that is
not a
scientific.
condor.
Yeah. And he's definitely not a condor.
I actually really enjoyed the final fight scene between Kamen Rider and Gebacondor. Because they start off fighting on top of the car. There's a lot of punching and stuff on top of the car that's moving and then it stops and then it's in a field instead of in a rock quarry.
Yeah, yeah. The heavily graffitied newlywed car. I just
Yeah. There was although that's a thing even here in this country of like drawing all over a newlywed's car.
It just seemed like they took it to the next level with this one. Like it was basically a piece of street art on wheels at that point.
It really was. It really was.
And it was all it was in English too.
Yeah, so they had to sell the idea that they were getting married, so they had to go the extra mile. Now I want to talk about because we've been talking about in a few episodes the death of these kaijin, these monsters, and the death of Gebacondor is I don't know how to describe it other than he went into the second dimension.
I would have called it death by motorcycle, but
like so Kamen Rider hits him, but then all of a sudden you just get like a cardboard cutout of Gebacondor that just kind of flies off and then explodes. And you can tell it's a cardboard cutout. Like it looks like just a standy kind of cardboard cutout of Gebacondor flying off it, but he's in the pose of like, ugh.
Do we want to talk about cardboard cutouts now or in the next episode we're going to talk about? Because oh boy.
Cardboard. Oh yeah, there's some cutouts. I don't know about cardboard because those seem very see-through. They're more plastic, but yes, we will talk about them in the next episode. But I just thought that was such a goofy.
It was, but that's kind of par for the course with this show at this point.
Yeah,
none of these kaijin fight the same way. Also, speaking of the motorcycle, how has it that it has taken me? This is what, episode 11? It took until episode 11 for me to realize the motorcycle has a name.
Yeah, I don't think they've mentioned it previously in the show, but I definitely knew that. I don't know how I knew that. I guess because I've watched the show before.
Yeah, I think it's in the end theme because the word cyclone, because that's the motorcycle, does get used in the end theme.
Yeah,
the really comparatively mellow end theme for the show. But
yeah.
I somehow never knew that the motorcycle had a name.
Yeah. So yeah, the motorcycle is called Cyclone.
Which I guess makes he has a turbine on his belt.
Right. Yeah. Which also is really funny because I never realized made that connection between that and in Kamen Rider W, that one half of W is called Cyclone. The green one is green power is Cyclone.
Right.
Because he's Cyclone Joker.
That's right. I just watched those I call them sample episodes from Toei.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
make you happy, Travis. Just to
Yes.
make you happy.
I cannot wait to talk about Kamen Rider W. It's going to be so long. Oh, it's going to take so long to get there.
Yeah, because Toei is being stingy. But
Right.
it was also to see Hongo actually doing some motocross practice at the beginning. So it's like the show remembered, hey, he's into motorcycle racing. Maybe
Well,
we should actually show him practice.
You know why they did that? It's because it's footage from that they had filmed for the first episode that they're just reusing. Because
even Kamen Rider is not immune to the curse of stock footage.
Well, yeah. Well, like we said, Hongo, or the Fujioka, he was hurt, and so he wasn't there to film. So they had to use previously filmed footage, and so they had this footage of him doing the motorcycle racing and practicing and stuff. So they brought it back. So it's just like, yeah, they brought it back, but they brought it back because that was the footage they had that they had to fill in since the actor couldn't be there.
This is true. Overall, it's an okay episode. Wouldn't call it my favorite so far.
Yeah, this isn't like the best episode, but it's not the worst either. It had a lot of fun moments. I really enjoyed. Again, like we said, we had a lot of play from the side characters, including the new side character that was introduced with Taki. And so yes, that was born out of necessity, but I think it ended up working out really well. And again, I keep talking about it. One of the things I love about Kamen Rider is they like to add a little bit of the horror into their episodes, and we definitely got that with Gebacondor stealing blood from young women.
Oh, good lord. He's a pseudo vampire in this.
Yeah.
I am powered by the blood of virgins. He doesn't say that, but
no,
it's basically
but he might
what
as well.
Saying. Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, he's more of a vampire than the man bat or Batman or whatever that was in the second episode.
The Bat Dash Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Well, so that's it for this episode. We can move on to the next episode. Transition.
The murderous Geckgeras. Sachjin Geckgeras, a power-hungry lab assistant, allows Shocker to convert him into a cyborg to help them steal the laser weapon his boss is making.
Nathan, we're introduced to Night of the Lepus, the sequel.
You had the same note, or did you just see my note?
No, I saw your note. I saw your note.
You and I are forever bonded over that movie. And for those who don't know, one of my first appearances as a guest on Kaiju Weekly was for this absolutely ridiculous movie called Night of the Lepus. That is basically a horror movie about giant killer rabbits.
Yep.
So think Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but not funny for some strange reason.
Yeah.
And it has Boris Kelly from Star Trek in it.
Yeah.
And unintentionally hilarious.
So, talking about this episode of Kamen Rider, they lasered a bunny. They lasered a bunny.
For the kids!
For the kids! I mean, we were talking about how Takeshi a few episodes back had experimented on puppies, but now we're like opening this episode with a couple of scientists just lasering a bunny, and it wasn't even like a scientific thing of like, oh, we now know what the laser does. It's like, no, they already knew the laser was dangerous. They were just trying to prove a point.
It's just so there's a very weird streak of animal cruelty running through these recent episodes, and I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
These animals are real, but seriously.
Yeah, no animals were harmed, and actually this was 1970s in Japan. We have no idea if animals were actually harmed.
That's possible, but on a more serious note, the beginning of the
More
episode
serious
did
than
remind me.
lasering a bunny?
Point. Anyway, lasering of the bunny. I just verbed that. The talk that the scientist and his secretly evil assistant were having,
Yeah.
weirdly enough, call me crazy, but it reminded me a little bit of Godzilla 54 because they're talking about the invention falling into the wrong hands and science being misused, not unlike Dr. Serizawa with the oxygen destroyer.
Yep. Yeah, it really does feel that way.
So I give them credit. You know, they start off with lasering a bunny and then say, well, we're going to have a serious discussion about this in this tokusatsu superhero show with a grasshopper man.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it because like he does have a nice speech about the responsibility that scientists have when they create something dangerous and how after a scientist creates something dangerous, it tends to get misused, especially when it falls into the wrong hands. And a lot of that echoes back to, like you said, Godzilla 1954, and a lot of why it was included in Godzilla 1954 was because of the experiences with the nuclear weapons. You know, they are still the only country to have a nuclear attack actually launched against it and to actually feel the ramifications of it. So Japan definitely has this kind of sense of, yeah, maybe don't give the deadly weapons to the wrong people because that it doesn't end well.
Yeah, especially for the bunnies. But
that's no ordinary rabbit.
Wascally Wabbit. See, Elmer Fudd just needed a laser gun. Or as I call it, the flashlight of doom.
It really was. It was like a cross between a flashlight and a laser pointer.
So it's either going to. So what you're saying is it'll kill everything else, but if you point it at a cat, it's just going to play with it. It's like.
Well, did you catch what they actually called it in the show?
Yes, I have it written down. I'm trying to remember what it was.
It's called
Danger Light.
The Danger Light. What? That's equal parts silly and awesome.
Yes. Well, it also reminds me of an episode of a movie that was on Mystery Science Theater 3000 that, no joke, was called Danger! Death Ray!
So, I have a question. The monster is supposed to be a gecko?
Oh my god.
He looks kind of like a fish.
Oh, I don't know what this thing is. Oh my gosh. Oh man, Geckgeras is the most unnerving kaijin that has been in the show so far. I couldn't look at him without feeling just incredibly uneasy.
It's so weird. It's really weird looking. He looks like a fish.
To be honest, he looks more like an ultra kaiju. He really does. He looks like something. He looks like Ultraseven should be fighting.
Yes, he does. He does look a lot like that. But I do really like how he has the power to cocoon people. He just spits out a spray and then wraps people in cocoons.
I called it the power of mummification.
Yeah.
He has to have that, but he's definitely not saving anybody 15% on car insurance. Just saying. Although, he might help Kamen Rider save on his motorcycle insurance by killing him.
Oh, man.
You don't need insurance.
That's true. Yeah, so I like the cocooning. I like that he cocoons Kamen Rider, and then it's Ruriko that comes in and actually like pushes the Kamen Rider mummy down of the hill and it breaks open. Like, that was kind of cool.
Do we want to talk about how Geckgeras interrupted the Japanese Rocky movie?
Yeah. That was I thought for a minute I thought that was the scientist that he was going after, but no, it's just two random guys.
There's two random guys. It was a boxer and he was just doing his morning training, and then you're just like, hey, look, you're the convenient victims or attempted victims of no, actually they've got, because he got him. You're just the victim. Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, both of these two guys actually seem like they would be interesting enough to have a story. Why are they just there to get killed?
Yeah. It's really weird. I mean, it's just again to reinforce Shocker is evil, because he just wraps the guy up in a cocoon and then tosses him into the river to drown.
Off of a dam, I might add.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's it's like Shocker is evil. Remember that.
Yeah, remember? Shocker is evil. And also apparently the goons are changing things up. I think they have new masks now.
Mm-hmm.
And I started noticing that with the last episode. And now they have new weapons, because apparently Geckgeras has been put in charge of the dreadnoughts, like Cobra, so some Australian division, because they have boomerangs.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. My favorite part of the whole episode: the Shocker goons have boomerangs, deadly killer boomerangs. Yes, please. Thank you. I love it.
Also, one of Geckgeras' powers is, I call it Suspiria lightning. Have you ever heard of a movie called Suspiria?
Remind me what it is.
It's an Italian horror movie from the 1970s, directed by, I'm going to look it up here really quick. It is directed by Dario Argento, and it was all a part of what made that movie unnerving was that it loved using crazy colored lighting, because that's what Geckgeras does. He shows up someplace and suddenly red lighting.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Suddenly the whole room turns red because Geckgeras is in the room.
Yeah, he has the power of Suspiria red lighting, I guess.
Yeah. So we talk about, the scientist invents this death ray, and then his assistant goes to Shocker and becomes Geckgeras, and then they're trying to steal the plans.
You never talk about him being human again after that.
Right, yeah, they never mention anything about him being human after that. And they're wanting to steal the plans for the death ray, because they want to make a bigger one they can use to shoot down jets.
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
That's one of the Shocker.
And so because of that, they kidnap the scientist's sister,
who looks young enough to be his daughter,
but I also thought was his wife at one point. So I don't know.
But come on, dude. I don't understand. I have to say, I don't understand the logic, other than because the script told me to. He decides to put the plans for the death ray on a microfilm that he then puts into a locket and gives to his sister. Dude, you were just asking for her to get kidnapped.
Yeah.
What the heck?
And the way she gets kidnapped by Geckgeras to begin with is really, really scary, because he just reaches out from under the bed and grabs her.
Yeah, I know.
And that is like
He's
a
literally
real
under the
bed. that is a real phobia for a lot of people. The idea of something reaching out from under the car or under the bed and grabbing you. But my favorite part of all of this is you see him crawling on the roof of the room. He sneaks under the bed, grabs her from underneath the bed, and then we cut to him just loading her into the back of a car, just a regular car, and driving off. And that is the juxtaposition that you get in Kamen Rider. You get these silly, absurd, crazy monsters who just use regular old cars to do their, evilness in. And it is such a funny combination of things, and that's what makes the show so interesting and unique.
Have you seen Ultraman Taro yet?
No, I have not seen Taro yet.
The Science Patrol cars in that show look like they belong to clowns. So
but see, that's what you
would you rather have?
You expect you expect it to be like Hydra or Shield or something like where they put the branding on the side, like it's a specialized vehicle made just for them or whatever. But no, it's just a regular car.
You know why? It's because it's not a Nazi car.
Yeah, that's true. But also, it really shows the budget. The budget on this show was very small.
Yes. Yeah, as seen with the two model jets that get destroyed that everyone reacts pretty nonchalantly about, I have to say.
Okay, I will say, so you might not have picked it up, but that didn't actually happen. It was them imagining what would happen if Shocker managed to create this device, because it actually appears before they even actually get around to making the larger version of the device.
Heroes, you can't see the shocked look on my face right now because I don't know how I missed that.
yeah, because they're in the Shocker lair, and the great leader of Shocker is talking to them through the eagle statue like he normally does, and he says, "Then Shocker will rule the skies," and then it kind of like fades into. It fades into them shooting down the planes, and then it fades back to them in that secret layer, kind of cackling and laughing. So it was like it's not actually happening. It's kind of imagining what would happen when Shocker gets to rule the skies by taking down any airplane.
Oh, well, that death ray must be pretty effective because it was really good at shooting dirt and missing everybody.
Yeah.
And it was the same of dirt that was apparently everywhere, no matter what you were shooting.
Okay, to be fair, when they actually did build the handheld version of it, there were quite a few people who were killed by it.
Oh, yes, we need to talk about that. We hinted at it. We need to talk about that because the death ray, mid special effects sequence, I was thinking, oh, it turns people into skeletons. That's horrifying. And then it turns out that those really aren't skeletons. They're cutouts.
Yeah,
they're
plastic. They are plastic sheets with skeletons painted on them. Now, here's my question to you. Do you interpret that as the laser is actually turning them into these plastic, sheets, like it's morphing their body chemistry into this plastic sheet, or is it actually just turning them into skeletons and we're just supposed to believe that is just their skeleton?
I'm interpreting it as somebody stole their Halloween decorations.
Well, here, I actually have an answer to that. I was curious how you interpret it, because I was interpreting it at first as if like it was like molecularly changing their body into like this flat sheet of plastic almost. But then later on, they do say all that was found at the site of the victim was his bones. So we're supposed to take this as this is actually their skeleton, not a plastic sheet painted to look like a skeleton that's just hanging on a string, because you can see the string that's holding it up, and then they just cut the string and it falls down.
Clearly, all the money for this episode went to the Geckgeras costume.
Yes. Well, and it's funny because we talk about the budget of the show being really low, and it was so low that they couldn't afford even fake bones. which sounds like a joke because like, oh, they were so poor they couldn't even afford fake bones. But no, this was a thing. This was a thing.
The budget was so low they couldn't even go to the local Halloween store to buy props.
Right. Yeah, well, that and this was a thing because around the same time that this show was being made, it was when was it? Like mid to late 70s was when Poltergeist, the first Poltergeist movie was made.
No, that was the early 80s.
Oh, okay, early 80s. Well, the budget on that film was such a shoestring budget that they couldn't actually afford fake bones because fake bones back in the 70s and 80s were really hard to come by. Like they weren't just easy. They didn't have 3D printers that can print them up, real easy now. They were hard to make. So it's actually cheaper for the filmmakers to go and purchase real human bones from a medical supply place. And the movie Poltergeist actually has real human skeletons in it as props. So when we're saying that this show didn't have the budget to even buy fake bones, we're not joking. They could not afford to buy the fake bones, so they had to just paint the bones and the skeleton onto a piece of plastic and then hold it up with string and make that be the skeleton.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Which in itself is so silly, but it is kind of an
How
interesting.
How funny would it be to be the person whose bones were used in that? So it's like, guess what? You finally got into a movie. You're just dead.
Yeah. Well, I think there was some fallout for it. I have to look up the information about it because I think there was some kind of fallout for it later on. But yeah, it was because it was like these bones these are donated to science. Basically like when you say you want to donate your body to science, that they're getting sent to a medical supply place to use as like studies for students and stuff to study anatomy and everything. Mm-hmm. But they have a lot of them, and so they do sell them out to companies to use in anatomy classes and other things like that. And so you can actually at the time, I don't think you can do it now, but at the time you could just go and purchase these from that medical supply place.
That's just insane. On a completely unrelated note, just one more note that I have on this episode. This is a common problem. Common problem. Unintentional pun. But with a lot of these, and that's because we're watching these on Tubi. So, by the way, folks, follow along with us by watching the show on Tubi. Nobody can agree on these episode titles.
Nope.
Tubi can't even agree with itself. Shout Factory can't agree with it because it'll say one thing on the listing and another thing in the actual episode subtitles.
Yep. Yeah.
And this was a case of that. Because what was it? So we went with the murderous Geckgeras. But on Tubi it says murder, comma, what was it? Yamegalon or something?
Yeah, Yamegalon or something like that. It was something. It was really, it's a completely different name.
Yeah, it's weird. So we apologize for any confusion that this may have brought upon you.
Yeah. The only other thing I want to mention too is just like the last episode, this episode was filmed after Fujioka had his accident. So this was, we don't get a lot of Hongo in this. And when we do get Hongo, he doesn't really speak on screen. He usually speaks either through a telephone or, something like that, or from the Kamen Rider mask. You don't see Hongo actually on screen communicating, and that's because they're using the few times he does appear on screen, they're just reusing footage. And then there's the scene where after when the girl gets kidnapped, that he goes and kind of follows after the car, and you can tell as he's walking at night that is not Fujioka. It's another actor who's dressed up to look like him, but they're just filming it from far away and at night so that you can't tell.
Yeah, I wonder if it was because of him that Toei started making it common practice to have a face actor and a suit actor. Because I know Subaraya was already doing that with the Ultra series.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of early Kamen Riders, the idea was that you were doing the stunt. But again, it goes into the budget. They just did not have a budget. They couldn't pay two actors to play the same character. They had to just use the same actor and have him do the stunts. And it ended up backfiring because he got hurt, and then they had to try to work around it. So yeah, this episode, like the last one, we get a lot more play from the side characters, especially Ruriko. Ruriko has a much bigger part in this than she's had, I think, in any episode up to this point.
Apparently she's a pretty good motorcycle rider herself. She was even racing Hongo at the beginning, and somehow doesn't figure out that he's Kamen Rider, because Kamen Rider mysteriously appears and Hongo's gone.
Yep.
Nice job there, Lois.
Yeah. So is there anything else that we want to mention from this episode before we get into our awards?
I think I've basically brought up everything that I want to bring up, and anything else that I would probably bring up I'm saving for the awards. So let's move into the awards.
Okay. All right. Let's move into our awards. So we're starting off with our Henshin Kick Award, which is our best piece of stunt work or action sequence in the episodes that we watched. So, Nathan, what was your Henshin Kick Award?
Hilariously, looking at these, you and I end up using a lot of some of the same things, but for different awards, which I guess just shows you how cool they are. But for Henshin Kick, I have KR catching the boomerang that gets thrown by the Shocker Goon at Ruriko. Just because I just think it just looks, it's such a great hero moment. It's just like, they throw it out, he's like, oh, didn't see me coming, did you?
Right. And I almost put that in this section for this award because, like you said, it is such a great hero moment that just you get the shot of the Shocker Goon throwing the boomerang and Ruriko ducks like she's going to get hit, and all of a sudden, whata! And it's like, boom, sucker. There he is, Kamen Rider. And I just love it. It's such a great scene.
I want to gift that so bad right now. I need to find that scene on YouTube so I can gift that. Just a whoosh, boom, sucker.
Boom, sucker. Yeah. So my Henshin Kick Award, I ended up settling on the fight between Gebacondor and Kamen Rider on the roof of the car. And I've said this quite a few times when we've gotten to this award. When I'm doing the Henshin Kick Award, I'm looking for actual stunt work, not tricks of the camera and stuff like that. And being on the roof of a car, even if it is choreographed, that's still a pretty hard thing to do, like for an actor to be on the roof of the car fighting and play fighting or whatever on the roof, and then throwing each other off the roof of the car and stuff like that. Was I thought that deserved a mention, because I can just imagine how difficult that was for the actors in the moment, in those heavy rubber suits that are very hot to do that.
Yeah. Also, I just realized that the line needs to be boomerang, sucker.
Boomerang, sucker. All right.
Well, now we move on to Takentoku, the best special effect. So what did you have, Travis?
So I had, I couldn't decide here. This is where I almost put the boomerang catch again, because I think that's a really great effect. It's also a very good special effect because of the quick cut to make it seem like the boomerang was actually flying through the air when it really wasn't. It was just, basically the actor who played in the suit, Kamen Rider, just held it out in front of Ruriko to make it look like he caught it. But it was still a decent effect. But I'm actually going to give my award to the rider suit itself, because I've noticed in this episode specifically, which is the Gebacondor episode, I've noticed that the Kamen Rider suit actually is improving in quality. They actually updated it a little bit in between. I think episode 10 and episode 11 is when they made some tweaks to it, and it actually looks a lot smoother, looks a lot better, looks less like paper mache.
Although like I said, I thought it looked a little rough in the last one, at least in a few shots. Maybe it was just some bad shots.
Well, it also might be because they could only afford one suit, and then they had a different actor than who it was made for. Because with Fujioka being hurt, they just threw an actor into the suit. Well, the suit was made to fit Fujioka, so you can kind of tell when you're looking at it that it doesn't fit the stunt actor as well as it did Fujioka. But I still think that the quality of the suit is improved. You can tell it's improved.
Yeah, for sure. My pick was also for a costume, but not for the rider. It was for Geckgeras, and all I have down on my notes is Geckgeras is the freakiest kaijin yet, because that costume is insane, and I want Ultraseven to punch him in his big ugly mug.
He kind of has a volcano head. Like his whole head looks kind of like a volcano. It's really weird.
Seriously, heroes, if you've ever seen a gecko that looks like Geckgeras, please send us screenshots, because what the heck?
Yeah. It's just
Geckgeras could have almost been the what the Henshin moment itself. Like, just the fact his existence is almost the what the Henshin moment.
Weird bug-eyed lizard fish thing with fangs. It's such a weird design, and it's bright red. It's such a weird suit. So moving on to our next award, which is the Kamen Award, which is our favorite line of dialogue from the episodes that we covered this week. So what is your favorite line of dialogue?
I admit it's funnier in context, honestly, which it comes from Ruriko. There's a point where I try to remember which episode this is from, but it's when they're fighting on a dam. So I think it's the Geckgeras episode.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And she actually manages to knock a couple of shocker goons around, and then she just says bye-bye in English and just runs away.
Yeah.
Just made me
it was such
come on, guys. You just got beat up by untrained woman, and then she says bye-bye and runs away.
And it was a sassy bye-bye too. Like, she was definitely like because she like bye-bye, almost like it was an attitude. Yeah. That was good. That's a good moment.
That added to it. So
yeah. So I have an honorable mention, and then I have my actual award for my favorite line. I'm going to mention my honorable mention first, because I almost went with my favorite line being from Gebacondor in episode 11. Quote.
I wish there was a way to that so that it could be the title of the episode.
Just he sounds like angry Yoda. It is really, really crazy. But no, my actual Kamen award goes to Ruriko's line, Takeshi, where have you been? Because to me, that just kind of sums up everything about these episodes, because Takeshi's nowhere to be seen for good reason, but it's just kind of like sums up this whole like transition period while Fujioka is injured. Takeshi, where have you been?
Yeah. Oh man.
Now to your favorite award.
My favorite, WTH, what the Henshin. There were several choices. I went through several choices, man, that I considered from these two episodes, and I've hinted at some of them. But what was yours?
No. I want you to tell yours first, because I have another ringer coming in.
Okay. Ooh, okay. I got the soundboard at the ready. But no, mine is this weird artsy montage of Gebacondor attacking women to get their blood. And one
Yeah.
of them, the one I spend the most time on, is a ballerina. And it turns into this weird sort of dance of death.
Yep.
With work lighting and crazy camera shots, and it ends with him, I think, biting her neck like a vampire. And I'm just, what is this?
Yep.
It turned into this weird art house film for a second.
It feels almost like David Lynchian, or not. Was it David Lynch? Who
The guy who did Dune?
Twin Peaks?
Yeah,
No,
it's David Lynch.
David Lynch. Okay, I just want to make sure I had the right guy. Yeah, it feels almost David Lynchian in just how kind of ethereal it is in that moment. Almost like it's a dream that's happening, but it's actually real, really supposed to be happening and everything. I actually really do like that scene. And you're right. That is it is out of nowhere, because it's just like a very bizarre thing in the context of the show. But if you take it out of the context and just look at the creativity that's in that scene, I actually really like it.
Yeah, like it's just like it's just really, really bizarre. It's
Yeah.
basically a murder montage as an art house film for about 60 seconds.
Yeah. Now my What the Henshin award goes to my favorite moment. I mentioned it earlier. It's suddenly Gebacondor standing beside you, or riding beside you. You don't need no makeup. No, yeah. So the scene that we mentioned earlier.
All night long.
The scene that we mentioned earlier of the new character Taki riding with his new bride in the sidecar, and they're just so happy, and it's just close up on her face, and close up on his face, and close up on her face, then close up on his face, and then he looks over, and it's just Gebacondor suddenly there sitting next to him, and it is just the like most bizarre edit, like I said, slapstick moment. Then I love it. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. That I have a new appreciation for that cut now. All right, man. All right. Before we go completely off the rails any more than we already have, it's time to do our minute to henshin it. All right, you ready for this, Travis?
Yes, so this is where we sum up everything that we appreciated, what we liked, and everything that we've had about the 2 episodes that we've covered in a minute or less. So,
yes,
I am ready. I only have a minute to henshin it.
Yes.
So let's get started.
All right, run, set your mark. Ready, go.
Henshin. Okay. So yeah, these 2 episodes is part of a transition period for this original series. We have Hongo stepping away because of Fujioka's injury. It's obvious that Fujioka was not available to film them. Like I said, this first episode was a little bit better, but then the second episode was, yeah, you could kind of see and tell that Fujioka wasn't there to film. But the positive side of that is that the side characters, especially Ruriko and my favorite Tachibana, get more screen time, and that's always a good thing in my book.
Wow, you had about 20 seconds left there. You want to bank it? At this point, you've banked so much time, we might as well give you 2 minutes to henshin it at this point.
All right, Nathan. Well, it's time for you to share your minute to henshin it. So, Nathan, are you ready?
Yes, sir. And go. All right. So, yeah. One of the things that I am continuing to learn throughout watching the show, because remember, the common noob right here, is there's a surprising amount of variety, a surprising amount of experimentation. Like I said, artsy murder montage, and suddenly Gebacondor and all of this, just absolute craziness. So that's been really interesting to see them experiment and try to find a style. But I'm really curious to see over the next few episodes how they handle the transition from Rider 1 to Rider 2, because obviously they weren't expecting this. And one of the nice things, as you already hinted at, Travis, is that they gave the supporting cast a chance to shine. And in a couple more episodes, we're going to have a new hero. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. So to close out this episode, I want to say thank you for listening to the Henshin Men, a tokusatsu appreciation podcast. You can find links to all of our social media in the description of this episode. You can listen to more of me on the Kaiju Weekly podcast and listen to more of Nathan on the Monster Island Film Vault. If you found some enjoyment from this episode, consider giving us a 5-star rating on iTunes. And until next time, what are we saying, Nathan?
Don't cross the Henshin red line.